Long-term effects of growing up within purity culture. Hi, my name is Kristen, and I grew up within the IFB, or the Independent Fundamentalist Baptist cult world. So the effects of growing up within purity culture, especially within a religious cult, as you can imagine, have very long-term effects. Anytime that you are an adolescent and you're growing up inundated with things, negative or positive, those are going to ultimately have an effect on who you become as an adult. And purity culture and growing up within really in that world is no different. So for me specifically, a lot of it was let's talk about dress and that type of thing. It's taken me a really long time. I used to kind of always be like, oh, I'm just more conservatively dressed, but really what it boils down to is the fear of showing my body. There was so much stigma around showing any part of the female form, because they were really telling you that if you did that, then a man would stumble and therefore it's your fault. So there are so many negative connotations that are built into my head when I look at things that expose any part of my body. So it has taken me a really long time to figure out what are things that I actually like and don't like versus what are things that were conditioned in my brain to tell me were negative, but ultimately weren't negative. They were just something that I was brainwashed into believing. So separating the two can be really difficult. The other thing that I think people don't think about with purity culture is there is a hierarchy, with men being at the top of that. So in my own relationship, at home, a lot of the times I would put myself, and this was me, putting myself in a position of less than, putting them in a position of a higher, more, I'm looking up to you, you can do no wrong, where I'm doing everything wrong. That's purity culture. That is a culture where women feel like they are less than men, and whatever term that looks like. It doesn't have to be these extreme versions. It can look like very small ways of doing this, but just looking at the man as someone who is an authority, who maybe knows more, is able to think clearer. That is what was taught to me within purity culture. So there are so many lasting effects of that really, as you grow up and you come outside of a cult, you now then have to take this brain that was inundated with these thoughts and figure out, what do I actually think about this? Or is this a conditioning of the brainwashing that I was under as a child?